This one's on me, Suns fans. This one's on me. This loss to the Houston Rockets at home. Phoenix Suns now 12-2 at home. This one's on me. I'm covering the game for Bright Side of the Sun, right? You know what that means. High probability of the Suns losing. Because, Matthew, I don't get nice things. I got the 51-point performance. I got to cover that game. I got this amazing DA and Devin Booker performance sitting on top of the world. Felt fantastic. So, Dave King said, hey, can anybody pick up tonight's game coverage? I'm like, you know what? I'm on a heater right now. I'm on a roll. We're playing the shitty-ass Rockets. I'll cover this game. Suns lose 122-121. I'm now 1-5 on the season covering games for Bright Side of the Sun. The Suns have lost 7 fucking games. I've covered 5 of them.
Yeah, it could be you, man.
Could be.
It is you. I didn't want to go there. I didn't want to say. I didn't want to start the show saying, you know what, it's your fault, man. And
it's okay. It was.
We got to put the blame on somebody. It's you. It's not because we had 5 shots at the end and we missed all of them. Like, it's so crazy how it was like, how is it not going in? It's right there.
It wasn't because they took
twice. I was like,
it wasn't because they took 43 free throws to our 19. It had nothing to do with that.
Yeah,
it was me.
I don't want to go.
It was me. I covered the game for Brightside. 1-5 this year. It's fucking and like the games that I cover, I haven't gotten a blowout. Every game I've covered, it's like the Suns have lost 3 of their 7 games by a total of 3 points. And I think 2 of their games they've lost by 2 points. So of their 5 games, they've only had 2 games where they've really played shitty.
Yeah.
And Mario Lopez is correct. Void a curse. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. Why do I have to be the guy who's cursed, man?
I don't know, man. Well, you're cursed with such beauty, with so much good things from our Lord. Just this is the one thing that is a really bad curse, I guess, is the Suns losing when you write the game.
Look at his face. This ain't beautiful.
No, just beauty. The beautiful person,
God down set on a bench. Mike, thank you in the chat. He says, Voida, you didn't force those passes, but I had to write about them.
You did.
I had to sit there and write, and what sucks, and this is, a little insight, right? Because obviously in the situation that both Matthew and I are, considering we go live after every Phoenix Suns game, is we have to, we're not going to sit there for 30 minutes after the game and really go into depth thoughts if we're writing an article for Bright Side of the Sun. So what we have to do in these close games, what do we have to do, Matthew?
Just let Dave do it, right? Just don't finish and submit it. And then
we have to write 2 endings.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You have to write like, they won barely.
I've never done that, actually.
Awesome. You kind of have to. It's the fourth.
Well, you know what? Now that you do say that, I used to actually do the whole when they're blowing them out. Like in the third quarter, I would have done like, the Suns pull away, and then usually it always worked for me. I think there was one time where I had to rewrite it. So yeah, you're right.
This team was up 10 going into the fourth quarter. I was like, okay, even if they bring it back, the Suns will pull this out. But again, when the Phoenix Suns in the fourth quarter are outscored 36-25, you can't be prepared for that. So. A lot to talk about on this podcast. Is it the end of the world? No.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
No, a lot to talk about.
Okay,
it's not the end of the world. Are you kidding me? I got a new microphone. It better not be the
end
of the world.
We were gonna talk about it. How is that thing? Do you like it? It sounds great. Whoa.
It sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sounds fantastic. You don't sound like you're down a hallway anymore.
I mean, it works. It's here. It's in front of my face. So.
Yeah. God bless Cyber Monday, and thank you to the Jamsters for donating via the super chat. Your donations help us upgrade some of our equipment, some of our needs. I've had the same thing for like 5 years now. So maybe, we get a few more donations, some good things happen. Maybe I can get a new microphone too. But again, welcome to another edition of the Suns Jam Session podcast. Unfortunately, you're coming to us after the Phoenix Suns lose only their 7th game this season. They are now 15-7 on the year. Plenty to break down in this basketball game and plenty to break down on this podcast. So make sure you hit the thumbs up button while you're hanging out with us. And if you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, wherever you consume podcasts, go ahead, give us a like, a 5-star, whatever that opportunity is.
Do it.
Matthew, it's a Friday night. The Suns have lost.
Yes.
What kind of water are you drinking tonight?
Oh, the kind with salt in it. Some sea salt water. That's what I'm doing over here.
Wow. Well, let's
what is that, man?
Let's get crazy. This is Paxis Red Blend wine.
Oh,
I'm going to drink some wine. Let me uncork this real quick. Yeah. Who doesn't love a twist off cap to a wine bottle?
Does it
Let's
make
pour
a
it.
difference though?
Who gives a shit?
I don't
Look
know.
at
Some
that.
people on here might be mad about this whole thing.
About what? The corking or the
Yeah,
or
the
the
corking and the
uncorking?
Suns.
Who cares? Let's this was what year is this? This is it's a good bottle. Oh, it's a 2019.
That was my finest year as a Lucy.
Smells like DeAndre Ayton's second season. Right. Smells like one of those games where he goes for 8 and 7. That's what it smells like. So let's talk about this game where he went 8 and 7. A 1-point loss to the lowly Houston Rockets, a team that entered this game 4-16 on the season. We were 15-5. Guess what? Or we were 15-6. I'm sorry, and they entered 5-16. Now they're 6-16,
Yep.
and we're 15 and whatever. Brings me to my first question.
Matthew, I got to ask.
So, Matthew, I got to ask, and this, again, is hopefully going to assist all the Jamsters who know that this is an embarrassing loss and hopefully know that the world isn't falling and we don't need to sit here and pick apart a bunch of things, although we'll overreact to at least a couple things in this. Torrey Craig wasn't playing tonight. Cameron Johnson's out. Jay Crowder is hanging out who knows where. He's just this is one of those games where he's like, oh my God, maybe they do need me. Maybe I can get some value for myself. But the question I got to ask for you, Matthew, seeing as Dario Saric is the guy who went and got the start today, and yes, we're going to start off with the Saric smoke break.
The Saric smoke break.
Who has more lateral quickness, Matthew? Dario Saric or Lieutenant Dan, who ain't got no legs?
So him screeching sideways is a little bit quicker than
He's a little quicker than Dario, right?
Yeah, it might be. I think that Saric might win that one. We can put some money on that one later for sure. Tonight you can see his quickness. It was getting him nowhere. A lot of those passes, very flat, very late. A lot of the times where he was asking for the ball were just in the lane. He was crowded. He has like the one play though, man, where he'll get it in the lane and everyone on the bench is standing up and it comes out, rolls right on out. So I don't know the point. I think it's a lot of the just having size in there at the power forward position. I was actually kind of rooting for Lee to start. I thought it would just be a fun game for him to start there. And, against this young Houston team, stand out there, shoot some motherfucking balls. But we put Saric in there, man. And it was okay. It wasn't the reason we lost, but it's just like, what else is he going to do? We have nobody else. And when Torrey was out, I was like, damn, dude, I didn't think we would lose, but I'm like, hopefully this isn't a thing because I love the way he was playing next to DA and now he's gone. So first game without him is a loss. It's too bad.
Here's my thing with Dario. First time he has started a game since the last game of the 2020-2021 season. There was a game in which the Suns played the San Antonio Spurs, if you remember. And Matthew, we actually did the podcast. I did it live from Laughlin, Nevada. That's how long ago it's been since he's actually started a game. And he went 1 of 5 from the field, 1 of 4 from beyond the arc, ended with 3 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks. Very rusty. It's very unfortunate that this was the decision that Monty Williams went with. I was with you, Matthew. I think Lee probably should have started this game. I think you could have integrated Dario Saric into the game. Seeing he only played 21 minutes, but he had to play with the first team. But I thought this could have been a Lee or Landell kind of game. You bring in a guy who hasn't played in, how many games? Meaningful minutes in a really long time for this team. And to expect him to come out and play against a young, athletic team that likes to attack the rim at will, where you need somebody who has the ability to utilize a little trait called lateral quickness, I thought it was a poor decision to start this game. What the irony of it all is is he led the team with a +10 plus minus tonight, Matthew.
Hey, your
It just
favorite
goes to
stat.
show you.
Yep.
Yeah, my favorite stat. It goes to show you
Exactly.
how just wonky this game really was. It was just one of those games where Dario Saric, I mean, he looked archaic out there. And he's a guy who likes to pound parliaments, man, or Marlboro Reds behind Circle K's. Like, he looked gassed out there. Like you said, his passes were flat, his 3-pointers were flat. I thought like 3 of his 3-pointers were going to end up in wedgies. They just were like that far off, right? Like, it was just like
Yeah.
it was somebody who, it looked like a paintball in the wind. Every time he shoots, like, it curves a little bit. It's just, every time I saw it, I was like, dude, why is now the time that Monty Williams is choosing to utilize Dario? Well, you're playing a shitty Rockets team. I can see that. This is an opportunity for to add some value. I can see that. But why didn't he start Lee or Landell, man? That will be my question about this game, because I think that really could have made an impact that ultimately could have won this game. Now, don't get me wrong. We win this game, we're talking about Dario like, hey, what a fucking idiot. Look at Dario out there falling around. He got one ball, whatever. But when you lose 122 to 121 to the Houston Rockets, you do kind of look inwards a little bit and you just go, what the hell happened? And granted, the Suns were outscored 36-25 in that fourth quarter. Dario Saric played 0 minutes, so it wasn't a Dario Saric effect.
No, it wasn't. And you're right. If we would have won this game, I wouldn't even think about it. And I didn't even think about him being an issue at all this game. I mean, we lost the game for other reasons we'll talk about and coming later. I just think Dario starting was just kind of a thing. You just throw it out there for size, man. You get what you get from him. This is exactly a Dario game. This is how he plays. The fact that he started, and maybe some of you thought like, oh, he would help doing this, doing that. Nope. He just does what he does out there. And it's not much. A lot of it's physicality. A lot of it is just trying to like body up these young, athletic, long guys that the Rockets have. But he's just a big body, man. And I don't mind that. I feel like it's actually a decent idea to throw him out there. I think if he started Lee, it's so small, 4 it's so people have been like, why are you starting Lee? He's not a power forward. You have Dario out there. So
Yeah.
either way, I feel like Monty's kind of screwed in the situation if we were to lose, because everyone's going to blame everything that happened tonight on Monty, on Devin Booker missing that shot, on DeAndre Ayton tonight. Like, there's always a lot of blame going around. When you lose to a team like this in the Rockets, you can say it's like a letdown game, but it might have been. But I don't think you can blame it on the one guy of Dario Saric. I think that's pretty harsh, because he played his game tonight, man. Like you said, the +10, that just shows you nothing, because I hate that stat. But it did show.
It means something over a long period of time. It doesn't mean something for one game.
No,
he was lucky in his
not at all.
rotations. That's what it tells you.
I guess I didn't even notice them.
Speaking of rotation,
Ever since I've been here, we talked about everything you want is on the other side of hard. This is hard.
Monty Williams, coach of the Phoenix Suns.
Again, Monty had a challenge in this one because he's down 3 power forwards, and he had to run out some Ish Wainwright minutes early. He had to run out 25 minutes of Damian Lee, who actually played more than Dario Saric did in this game. And some of his rotations, I feel like he was a victim of circumstance rather than being, making bad decisions. And that's one thing you're going to see in this game, because again, the first thing that we said right off the bat is the fact that, Dario Saric got the start, which was kind of a questionable. It's probably the most questionable thing that I feel Monty did in this, because outside of that, there's nothing he could have really done. I think that the Houston Rockets did a really good job of attacking that rim. And unfortunately for the Suns, they got the benefit of the doubt. If you look at the final statistics, as we said, 43-19 when it comes to total free throws taken. If you look at total personal fouls, 28-22 in favor of the Rockets. But the big thing, Matthew, was points in the paint. It was 62-40. They owned us in the paint. They did that in the fourth quarter. If you look at the statistics in that fourth quarter relative to points in the paint, it was 18-8. They outscored us by 10 in the interior. And that's something that Monty Williams has no control over. That's where we needed, our 4 and our 5, DeAndre Ayton, to play a little bit better on that interior, and it wasn't there tonight.
No, it wasn't. And yeah, there's a lot of talk right now of the free throw issues. And every time we come on a pod after, it's like a despairingly large difference between the two teams. Usually the Suns are always like, on the bad end of it, the smaller amount. That's again what happened tonight. It wasn't like 4 free throw attempts like the other game, but it still looks bad. But the thing is, the Suns are just not that team. Obviously, I'll just say that like I always do. They're not the team to be physical. Even though you saw a little bit of physicality from Ayton last game, it wasn't really there tonight. But when the Suns were physical, going to the lane and forcing themselves up towards the rim, drawing any kind of body contact, they weren't getting
any
calls.
call. They weren't.
I thought they were towards the end of the game. I thought when they actually tried to, but okay, I still think they were shit on. I think the technical by Devin Booker when he was talking to the ref on the way back, saying there was a foul, because it was. You got to give Booker those fouls. That foul, that's a fucking foul. That's what Booker has to get. He's a superstar in the league right now. He's in an MVP conversation.
He was fouled twice on that play. He was fouled when the guy reached him from behind,
reached around,
and then when he went up, he got body
set.
contact. Yeah,
exactly. He was not set. That's a foul on anybody. Why are they not calling?
Jalen Green got that call all goddamn day.
And also, he did not get. Jalen Green did not get a technical. Was it Jalen Green or Kevin Porter?
It was Kevin Porter who mid-play was bitching to the ref right after that.
And then Jalen Green, there was a play where after he went up and he had a nice play against Booker, bodied him really good. He clapped right in Booker's face. No technical, nothing.
So
we have these games exactly where we do this, where Booker is going to be he's going to have a hard time with the refs. And then these young guys always come in. Nothing ever is called against them. Nothing's ever called, for the Suns against them. So it's one of those things where it's like Booker got bullied around a lot defensively sometimes, but also like there was no calls in the beginning of the game going the Suns' way when there were fouls. And especially Ayton, like it was going around. And you know me, I'm never the guy to be like,
I know you're not.
Suns need to do it themselves. No, this was a bullshit game by the rest for sure, man.
Yeah, it was the utter lack of consistency, as you mentioned. The play where Devin Booker gets called for a foul because he's chirping a little bit at the refs, and literally like the next play for the Rockets, they're chirping at the refs and nothing happens. Like right then, you're like, okay, what's this stuff? It's. Again, I can take it. Never put yourself in a position where the referees are determining the outcome of a game, right? Like I say that time and again, no matter what the sport is. If it's a football game, it's a basketball game. Never put yourself in the position to do it. And you have to credit the fact that they were aggressive on the interior. As I mentioned, they scored 62 points to the Suns' 40 on the interior. What does that tell you at face value? That they were attacking at will. And guess what? When you attack that much, you're probably going to get the benefit of the doubt of some calls. So I'm not saying that all of those fouls weren't unwarranted. What I am saying is there were some inconsistencies, especially in the middle part of the game, in which the Phoenix Suns weren't getting anything. I mean, there's a couple plays where DA went up and he gets slapped. I mean, there's the one where, DA gets slapped on the wrist and he misses the shot by like a foot.
Yeah,
it's a foot
he
short.
airballs it.
It's a foot short.
He's never airballed a jump shot.
No. And there's like, nope. And it's like the ref is standing right there. It's like, no, didn't see it. Oh, shit. Like, you think he just like, I probably or another member of the refereeing crew. And again, like those little things do add up. So you have to, I do benefit the Rockets. We've talked about this in the past, the James Hardens of the world, right? James Harden drives me fucking nuts the way he used to foul bait and get all those calls. But if that's the game's being called and he's taking advantage of it, then kudos to him for taking advantage of it and recognizing that. Houston they recognized that by halftime. It's like, dude, we can do whatever we want attacking the basket because we're going to get all the calls. And for some reason, they're not getting calls. Like Jalen Green was unbelievably aggressive on both ends of the floor tonight. How many fouls did he end with?
Like personal fouls?
Yes.
Or do you? Okay. Let me say 3. Let me guess before I look. Yeah, I'll guess 3. How many do you have?
2. He had 2 fouls. Had 2 fouls. So again, like it's just frustrating as a basketball fan when you can clearly see that one team is being permitted to be physical and the other one just simply isn't permitted to be physical. And it'd be interesting because we know that it goes both ways. We've seen games where the Suns have gotten the benefit of the whistle. We've seen some Devin Booker games where he starts to get the benefit of the whistle, right? But if you look at that final free throw disparity, I wonder 2 things. One, how many times have the Phoenix Suns actually been the team that benefits and has the plus when it comes to that? And 2, what is that disparity? Because there's been multiple games where it's been 20 plus for the Phoenix Suns this year, 20 plus more free throw attempts for the opposition. And that's just ridiculous because, again, how can you sit there and look at that objectively and say one team is unbelievably overpowering and physical and the other one is just so good at not drawing fouls that it's got to be, they're not the culprit. It's clearly the other team. It doesn't go that way.
No, it doesn't. I think a lot of the fouls though being called for the Rockets were actually there were fouls. McHale was fouling the shit out of a lot of the guys out there.
Oh, we earned some of them. I agree with
Yeah,
that.
yeah, for sure. But also it's like it's one of those games where you're playing the Rockets and you're like, oh, it's it's physical. Look at them, they're cute. They're out there playing their game, and it kind of gets away from me as a fan where I'm just like, yeah, let them have their free throws. Like I don't care as much because I feel like we're gonna win this game in the end, and you just don't realize it's gonna be that big of an effect towards the end. You're actually gonna lose, and you're gonna talk about it on the pod after because it was a big deal. Because during the game, I don't think it's a big deal because I don't even really notice that as much because I'm watching my sons. I'm trying to figure out Aiden, what's he doing, and then fourth quarter and the third quarter comes along. I'm like, oh shit, I better start paying attention to this Rockets team. What the fuck is going on out here, dude? That's the way it was for me.
Well, I hear you. I'm looking right now, and I pulled up an Excel spreadsheet, right? And I exported it from basketballreference.com while you were talking. And here's the free throw disparity thus far this season for the Phoenix Suns. Going from their first game, Dallas had 12 more than them. Portland had 15 more than them. The Clippers had 8 more than them. They had 17 more than the Golden State Warriors at one point this season. Next game, New Orleans had 2 more than them. They had 4 more than Houston, who I forgot we even played them earlier this year. They had 2 less than Minnesota. They had 6 more than Portland. They had 4 more than Portland. They had 9 less than Philly, 12 less than Minnie, 6 less than Orlando, 21 less than Miami, plus 8, plus 4, -7, -30 against the Lakers. That was a game we beat them by 10 too. 10 more than Detroit, 5 more than Utah, -4, -12, and then whatever tonight's total was. So if you take a look at the total on the season, they're -82 before tonight. What was the math on tonight? Was it what I say it was 43-19? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
So 43 minus 19 plus 24. So they're now over. They're what? Plus 106 or -106 this year? -106 in free throw attempts relative to the opposition, and we're the best team in the Western Conference still. Like that's pretty impressive, man. I'll drink some wine to that, my friend.
Yeah, it is
for math, by the way. Only on the Suns Jam session.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone enjoyed that.
Yeah, they're like,
Like,
they're mowing their lawn tomorrow. And be like,
Yeah.
shut up with the plus minus, Voida.
The thing is though too, like you have to look at it as like, is it a ref thing or is it the Suns thing? Of course, the Suns, they really haven't been driving as much till like the last few games or so. I feel like the way Booker's been getting to the rim and stuff, like tonight you watch Jalen Green, how he gets to the rim. And it's impressive, man. That guy forces it. Porter does a good job too. He does a good job passing in the lane, but you never really see the Suns get to the lane as much, especially when Booker tries to force the issue. He kind of was a little bit slow to that earlier in the season, but now he's being more aggressive. You saw Aiden, of course, the last 3 days. So it kind of always started. I feel like it started when Monty did mention something to the refs about like Aiden kind of is not getting any calls down there. I think the Suns have kind of been more aggressive down there. So we'll see how it goes from here. I don't think they'll probably say anything about it in the post game. I don't think they'll say there's, hey, where's our shit? You know what I mean? Like that. I think they were just like, we had a game to win here. We had a shot. We had 3 shots in the end to tie it. We hit the front of the rim on all 3 of them. And that's it. Or to win it, I mean. And that's it. We had a chance to win the game. Nothing to do with the refs.
It's interesting because, like Mikal Bridges, for example, he never goes to the basket. He like comes across the lane and shoots, right? You know, Cameron Payne never goes to the basket. He kind of goes down the lane and fades away from it. Like everybody, the end result is never at the basket. It's always doing something around it, away from it. It's like an In Vogue, you know, like Madonna thing where it's like it's never here, it's here and such.
Right
so
there.
yeah, it's right there. A little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of whatever the fuck. So, you know, again, that's a continual storyline throughout the regular season for the Phoenix Suns is how we just don't get to the line. And sometimes when the teams are aggressive and they realize they have an opportunity to attack, they're going to attack. They're going to get us in foul trouble. And, you know, I mean, despite all that, we still only lost by 1 point. It before final box score tonight for DeAndre Ayton. He ends with 8 total points. Is that right? Yeah. 8 points, 4 of 7 from the field, 2 offensive rebounds, 4 defensive rebounds for a total of 6 rebounds, 2 assists, had 5 personal fouls in this one, Matthew. What's your takeaway after watching the DeAndre performance on this one? Because I'm really interested to hear this from you.
Yeah, I mean, this was interesting. I can just put it as interesting because after the last few games, you're just in this transition mode of where you're gonna start watching these games as Booker and Aiton's team. Like that's until Chris Paul comes back, it's Booker and Ayton. However they go, this is the way the game's gonna go, especially Ayton. So now it's like you gotta watch him and how he's gonna adapt to these situations. And of course, you can say, yeah, they're putting more focus on the Rockets. But a lot of it was like, well, he didn't have any points, of course. He didn't even have a field goal attempt in the first half. But the Rockets, they seem to be putting a lot of pressure on him, but it was mostly everybody in the lane. Anybody that put the ball down on the ground, it was tipped out of there. It was back from the perimeter. It was fast breaks. They were taking the ball away from the Suns. So it wasn't just Ayton. They were just a really aggressive defense. So Ayton having a hard time in the first quarter. You kind of saw, I feel like, him not getting the ball at all. And I kind of felt like a little bit of a frustration from him, only because usually when his teammate like Mikal Bridges, his best friend, is making those corner threes who hit 3 in the first quarter, he's usually like, yeah, hell yeah. Like he's always the one player that no one ever does this after every time his teammate makes a shot. He's like, yeah, hell yeah. He wasn't doing that. So I don't know if he was tired or whatnot, but I think that he was a little frustrated because he went on the bench until he came back in the second
And he was
quarter.
like zoned out, right?
He was, but he was like talking to the coach and he was just like, it looked like he was pointing. He's like, dude, I'm down there. I'm open. Like, why am I not getting the fucking ball? There were times when Booker didn't hit him. So I don't know what was going on there because I wanted to see Ayton get the ball down there early. He did one time and he turned it over. Then he came back in the second, turned it over 2 more times. So it was like they were trying to work things out. To me, it felt like kind of like Ayton he's turning into like kind of an all-star now or something. You know what I mean? People are taking notice. He's actually giving a shit now. So
Yeah.
this game was, to me, it was kind of like, all right, let's see what you can do, man. Let's see. You want to be an all-star? You want to be a star? Let's see. We're going to set you up. The first quarter wasn't there. Second quarter, they really tried to force and feed him. And it seemed like one of those quarters where it was just like, are we just trying to get him into the game? And they kind of like got past the Suns where the Rockets got back into the game and it was closer towards the end of the second or towards the end of the first half.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just thinking, I'm like, maybe Ayton is just at that point where he gives a fuck. Now he's worried about getting the ball. Now he's worried about getting his touches. It just seemed like that to me. This wasn't a normal Ayton game where he's just 8-7. It's like, where's that? Where's the effort? Where's that? It's more of just the Suns trying to figure out what to do with him now and get him his touches and also have Booker, of course, he was hot today, get his touches. So it seems like they're really trying to figure out what to do offensively with those two guys. And it's going to be interesting from here on because it just does not feel like the same Ayton or the same team. It seems like a team that is transitioning to something else.
Yeah, I think that it's when you have Devin Booker and now you have a really defined DeAndre Ayton in this game and playing that way this season, what are scouts going to look at? Well, Devin Booker's goddamn impossible to guard. So what you're going to do is you're going to try to take out their second best scorer, and that's exactly what the Houston Rockets did tonight. Is anytime they try to get the ball to DA, they would allow him to get the ball, and then 3 guys would collapse or 2 guys would collapse. And if he, as you mentioned, if he tried to bring the ball down in any way, shape, or form, they were swatting at it. They were knocking it out. They were essentially negating him from being effective offensively. And at the same time, their game plan was to attack him on the other side of the floor, the way they were attacking everybody. There was a couple, early bullshit fouls. It reminded me a lot of the Portland game early on, our first matchup with Portland, where DA got a couple really bad calls on him early on, and he had to sit on the bench. So for those of you who sit there and you look at the box score and you goes, damn, you only had 7 attempts. He didn't get a play in the first half, barely. How many total minutes did he have in the first half? Let's look it up on NBA.com real quick. First half only, DeAndre Ayton played a total of 12 minutes because he had to sit on the bench nearly the whole time because that was the Rockets' game plan. And this is going to be the challenge for DeAndre Ayton moving forward, is the opposition is going to go, you know what? We've seen what happens when we start to double team Devin Booker. He has seen that enough times in his career where he can start to carve us up. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to let Devin Booker go for 41 tonight. But you know what? We're going to put ourselves in a position to get a victory. Now, again, a lot of factors. Suns could have won this game easily on one of their 5 shot attempts in the last 10 seconds of the game. But the Rockets gave themselves a chance because they negated DeAndre Ayton to the best of their ability. How did they do that again? They collapsed on him. They forced him into some decisions that he wasn't ready to make. He dribbled it off the foot a couple times. He had a couple bad passes. And then, late in the game, he finally turned to put a layup up, and he was expecting a second guy to be there, and he biffed a bunny, a nice little layup that he could have had. He biffed it, probably because of the pressure he'd been experiencing all night. So what did he do that we haven't seen him do over the past week and a half? He rushed it. And that's what happens, and that's very strong scouting and good implementation of your game plan on Houston's behalf, and something that DA is going to have to start to adjust to, right? It's like Devin Booker for all those years when he was the only guy who could score. He had to adjust the fact that they're going to throw a million different guys at you. They're going to double team you. They're going to have the freshest legs against you every night. And he, over time, learned to navigate that. And that's why he is who he is. DeAndre Ayton, you're up next, buddy. You're the defending Western Conference Player of the Week. Guess what comes with a lot of people are just going at you. And that's what they did tonight. They took him out of the game.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think a lot of it, more had to do with DA. I think a lot of teams come at DA. It's just whether or not it depends on how he handles it. And tonight was kind of a learning thing for me. Like, I just think he's in a different kind of spot in his career. Like, he's kind of moved up a level. Now it's just kind of like, how do you calm down? How do you just, adjust to the game itself? And I don't think he's really figured that out yet. And he will, I think, if he gives a shit, it continues to. Like, I don't think of tonight of like a game where he's like, he wasn't really into it. I feel like he was.
He wanted
but it
to
was
be,
just
but
it
they
was just
negated him.
different. But then like a young Rockets team, I guess, because they do have length and they were crazy down there.
They have length,
They're
man. That's
physical.
Sengun.
For
that
sure.
Sengun's a quality player. I'll talk about that a little bit later when we're doing the
True,
subreddit
but
stakeout.
that's weird to say though, right? It's like the Rockets team, they negated Ayton. You know what I mean? Like, it just
but that's
shouldn't happen. But
it
he's
shouldn't
learning.
happen. But especially for centers, more than other positions, they tried to take everybody out in this game, man. They attacked everybody. That's why the Suns were in foul trouble the whole time.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just him. Devin Booker had to sit a bunch of minutes in the first half too because they were attacking him and they were getting ticky-tack shit on him. What's his face? Jalen Green flopped a couple times. Devin Booker got called for it, and that's why Devin Booker got that technical. He's like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, you're calling me for that?" So that was their game plan in this. And again, they're a young team who is aggressive and has a lot of really, really good athletes on it. Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr., Jabari Smith Jr., Alpine, whatever his fucking first name is, Sengun. All four of those guys. And they have Eric Gordon, fat Eric Gordon, who eats way too many Oreos out there as they're starting, small forward. But those other four guys are all top 5 lottery picks. These guys are athletes and really good at basketball, and they're learning to play in this league. So they're going to attack. That's all they know how to do. What we saw in this game was they're not any good at defense. So the Phoenix Suns, even though they had given up so many free throws, even though they were in foul trouble, they shot 54% in the first half of the game. And ultimately, at the end of the game, the Phoenix Suns ended with a shooting percentage of 52 points, what did they end up shooting? Yeah, 52.9% from the field. So they got what they wanted. But the only way that Houston can stay in is just keep throwing those athletes at them and keep putting them in compromising situations. And should DA get negated in this game? No. Can he be negated in a game? Yeah. A center always can be negated because you see it to Rudy Gobert. You see it to Nikola Jokic. He can get in foul trouble too. Joel Embiid. All these guys have games like this. Some games are just a turd, right? This one's a big old fat turd. You wipe it and you just carry on onto Sunday and hope that you don't go back to back. Because if you go back to back turds playing against the Spurs, another shitty team, on Sunday, it's no longer a turd, and then you have diarrhea, and you just can't stop shitting all over yourself, and it's in public, it's embarrassing, it's running down your legs, smells really bad. It's just not good stuff.
Well, it would be a turd game next game for sure. This game, though, I would say maybe, it leads to diarrhea, but I honestly think this Rockets team is fucking awesome. Like, I know it's like, oh, you beat our team,
athletes, man.
Dude, they are fucking, I love Porter Jr. and Green in the backcourt. The alley from Porter Jr.
Jalen Green.
Jalen Green is, but they're insanely good. Like Green, of course,
he has talent.
He goes up against Booker. He wants to be that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And there's times where he got the better end of Booker. He really did. And Kevin Porter is a great passer. They have something there, like you said, man. That team is young, and I actually want to watch more of their games now after tonight.
Well, my problem with Jalen Green is it's like, and again, this has nothing to do with basketball. As a basketball player, he's a great guy, but like we judge book by the cover. That's what we do. And like, he just looks like a spoiled asshole. I don't know.
Really?
He's probably one of those like AAU kids who got everything kind of growing up. I don't know. I don't know anything about his
I wish I was
backstory.
that kid. That'd be
I
fucking
wish I was
awesome,
that
dude.
kid too. That'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I'm mad at him because I'm not him. I hate us because I ain't us. Maybe that's my problem. Maybe,
Exactly, man.
Did I say anus?
Yeah.
Anus.
You got to pay the toll troll to get into the bowl.
To that boys.
Big Dick Booker.
The BDB, Big Dick Booker, your Western Conference Player of the Month, went out tonight, and it was through no fault of his own that he lost this game. Well, maybe because he missed one of his final shots, but he went 15 of 25 from the field, including 4 of 6 from beyond the arc. 41 points for Devin Booker, 8 assists, 4 rebounds. Also had 3 personal fouls, all in the first half, mind you, and a technical. But it's his 3rd consecutive 40-point game. And just so you know, last season, Devin Booker had a total of 4 40-point games. He's had 4 40-point games in the last 2 weeks, Matthew.
Dude, it's easy for him, right? I mean, it's
so easy for him.
Fucking insane. I mean, the way he started off this game, like, there is no way he's going to continue this way. This has never happened in his career. I've never really seen this from a Suns player ever. You come into a game, of course, against the Rockets where you're just like, everybody on that team, you're like, all right, maybe a night off. Of course, you don't think that for Booker, but shooting wise, you just think it's not going to continue. And it does. It's insane. Until, like you said earlier, he gets into foul trouble. He was unstoppable. It was crazy how good. And he comes right back in to the second quarter. He sits a little bit early and he hits a 3 right away. Like, it's like, he doesn't do that. He never goes on runs. He comes out of the game, comes back in, and then makes his next shot like a long ass 3
and a 3, exactly, a long ass 3.
It's fucking weird, but like he needs to get those calls though. I talked about it earlier, but he needs to get those foul calls. This is insane that we're still doing this with him because every player in the NBA that's a superstar gets those little bump calls, and he got 10 shots. He missed for the free throw line. He missed 3. He missed 2 down the stretch.
2 big ones at the bench.
2
those
huge
big,
ones. So
huge.
I mean, he did get to the line, but like there's something crazy going on with him right now, man. There's a lot. It seems like, I'm telling you, like, there's just this weird thing that's going on with this team where it's just they're going up another level, and like Booker is just playing at an insane level, but he had to have done something to get this. Like, he's so fucking good, but what did he do? There's some deep darkness to something he's given up.
Tweet where
Look
you're
for
saying,
huh? Where he sold his soul to the devil, to the Diablo,
to Diablo.
Man, I feel like I didn't even tweet that either. That's what's so weird. It's like that came out of nowhere.
Diablo did.
So, fucking, I know.
Yeah, you're right. The way that he scores is so easy. It's ridiculous. And it reminds me, the last team that I watched who had somebody who could score this easy and make it look so artistic and beautiful. Michael Jordan, man. Because growing up, I was a huge Bulls fan in the late 80s, early 90s. I was a Suns fan as well, seeing as I'm from Phoenix. But, Jordan was the one guy who I was obsessed with as a kid. And every game you'd watch, it was like, and Jordan, and Jordan, and Jordan. It felt like he never missed. And Devin Booker over this run, it's the same thing. Everything he puts up there, you feel like it's going in because his form has always been beautiful. But now they're dropping with consistency. And like you said, I mean, he was 4 of 6 from beyond the arc. And when the Suns were down 6 in the final minute of this game, minute and a half, minute 50, and he comes down and he hits that 3 where Campaign has a wide open 3. He's like, no. And the whole you hear the whole arena.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, and then boom, Devin Booker 3. It's just the guy's damn near invincible right now. And everybody sees it. And that's what's kind of fun too, is everyone's kind of noticing, he's getting that recognition. But 41 points again tonight. It's ridiculous because you look at his point totals this season and he's, 51, 44, 40, 41, 35, 37, 30 this, 30 that. I mean, he's got According to Basketball Reference, he has, let's see, 3 games where he's averaged 10 to 19 points, 10 games where he's averaged 20 to 29 points, 5 games where he's averaged 30 to 39. He now has 3 40 to 49 and 1 over 50. So he's got a total of 7 games over 30 points, or I'm sorry, 9 games over 30 points and 10 games with 20 points to 29. I mean, it's just like the stats he's putting up is fantastic, but it's the manner in which he's doing it. Because again, we talked about Jalen Green, right? Jalen Green tonight ended with 30 points for the Rockets, but he took 24 shots. I always mention this. I'm always the efficient. I love efficient basketball. I love defensive and efficient basketball. And Devin Booker, I'm so glad that he is the face of our franchise because he's an efficient player. It would drive me crazy to have, and I've said this in the past, like, you know, the Donovan Mitchells of the world or the Jamal Murrays, you know, that's your 2 guard because they'll go and they'll get you that 40, but man, they go like 8 for 24. So that means 16 times they missed and you're pissed.
Yeah, the efficiency is great. I don't think Booker was ever really this efficient, of course, but I think something had to happen where the offense was so spread around for everybody. You know, it was so equal. We always would come in these pods like, hey, Cameron Johnson got his, Mikal did his thing at the end of the game. They all got their score. They would score. Each of them would have a bucket in the last minute to close out a game. Now I feel like it's up to Book. And maybe not Cam Johnson, jeez, Coach Monty Williams pulled him into his office like, hey, Book. So here's the thing, man. It's you, and you're going to work with Ayton. You and Ayton, yes, but it's you, and you're going to get every shot. And I think easing his mind, knowing like, hey, I'm still going to, because this is a thing, right? Getting your stats, becoming an all-star. I feel like before it was like he had to get those shots because he's like, I don't know if I'm going to get the ball back again. Now it's like it's him. Like he said, that one play where it was like he shot that 3 and you knew it was going to go in, but Cameron Payne was wide open. They went to Booker. Like, it's like he knows now, like, this is my team. It's always been his team. But come on, guys. Like, we've always liked other players more than Book. But jersey-wise, we've always
Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson.
Yeah, but now it's like, no, this is Book. So I think he kind of eases his mind now where he's like, okay, it's mine, so I don't have to worry. So I think maybe that worry has lessened a little bit, and now he can just focus on his game and just being the number 1. And him and Ayton working together. So that's beautiful. And I hope that continues. And that might have been a thing that they talked about.
I guarantee you it's a team that or a thing that they talked about because that's how this team's going to succeed. And, you know, what we're getting a preview of this season is life post Chris Paul because he hasn't been playing a bunch. And guess what? Like, he won't be there probably next year or maybe the year after. I mean, it's like, so that's what's going to make this team successful. You have both these guys locked up for the next 4 or 5 years, right? So it's like, what are we going to be? What's going to make us successful? Well, this is the game plan. This is how we're going to attack. And the great thing is they're going out and they're executing that game plan. And it's fun to watch. And to your point, Matthew, when we talked about how effective Devin Booker's been, his effective field goal percentage, which is the statistic that adjusts for the fact that the 3-point field goal is worth 1 more than the 2-point, yada, yada, yada. It's the highest of his career right now at 54.6%. This season, he's shooting 37.8%, and that's before tonight's performance. So, I mean, he's having an amazing year. And as this season and this team progresses, you know, that load that he has to carry, we do need it alleviated by some players. We do need it alleviated by some of the assets that this team has. And one of those guys tonight who did a great job, and this is like, I hate it when we waste a good Bridges game. 8 for 16 from the field for Mikal Bridges, 22 total points. He was 3 of 7 from beyond the arc, had 8 rebounds as well. You know, knowing that there was going to be no Torrey Craig / Cameron Johnson / Jay Crowder, you knew you'd have to see a little bit more from Mikal Bridges on the rebounding side, and I was happy to see that. And I hate that we waste a good Mikal game. He also led the team in personal fouls, and I kind of like to see that too. You know, I mean, you play such great defense, fucking slap them assholes around a little bit.
Yeah, so the last one where he got hit in the head, that one actually looked like it hurt a lot, and I felt kind of bad for him. And then he got hurt in the ankle or something there. Yeah. So hopefully that doesn't linger.
Yeah, Bees is right in the chat. Pray for the warden's health.
Yeah, I feel like he's one guy where he falls down, like you kind of get scared because he's so long and lanky. He kind of reminds me of Anthony Davis in a way where he's just so abnormally long, and like if he falls, well, Anthony Davis of course has an injury history, but that's like you just think anytime they hit the floor, it's going to be something bad because of how big they are and how long they are. It's like, how do they even function in life without killing themselves or breaking a leg? I don't know. I just think about those things. So, but
Well,
we'll
and
continue
Mikal
with
Bridges
Mikal
did say after the game that he thinks he hyperextended his right knee, but plans to get it checked. That's per Dwayne Rankin. So we'll see moving forward.
Aye.
Oy.
Just stop. You know what? It's frustrating because last game we were talking about Kobe Bryant and Shaq. This is a finals team. This is the championship team.
and then
right
we
here.
play the Rockets.
This always fucking, and this is for every fan out there, but not the ones that actually cheat like the Patriots or the Lakers, the ones that actually like win it all the time. This always happens where we have such a great game. We think this is it, Aiden and Booker, and then they can't find their way this game. Booker still looks great. Everything else kind of falls apart. You already have injuries. Torrey Craig's out. We're going to be talking about that in 2 weeks. It's going to be like, oh, remember Craig was fucking awesome. And now he's like in and out of the lineup.
Yeah, groin
Just
injury.
saying,
So that's
this
not
happens
something
all the
that he's
time,
just
man.
like, oh, my groin feels great today. It's just like, yeah, you're right. It's going to be.
But or better earlier though, right? I mean, not to get the injuries out, but like I'm glad this is happening before the All-Star break. If these guys are getting hurt.
I do too, because we're in a good position right now. Like, you don't want to lose these games to the shitty teams, right? And you don't want to lose
Yeah.
any games, period. But because of the lead we have in the Western Conference right now, which I don't even know what it is right now. Do you know what the lead is after tonight's game?
I don't even know, dude. I
Because
don't
the
even know how we're leading. Western Conference.
Because the Western Conference is fucking wonky as shit this year.
It is, dude.
It's
weird.
There's a lot of teams that are in the middle, but if you take a look at where the Suns are, we still maintain the overall number 1 seed. The Denver Nuggets and the New Orleans Pelicans are both 1 game behind us. The Nuggets at 14-8, the Pelicans at 14-8 as well. Memphis is 2 games behind us. The Clippers and the Jazz are 2.5 games behind us. You go all the way down, the Rockets are 9 games behind us, but yeah, you don't want to lose a bunch. You want to try to maintain a
Dude, that
lead.
Pelicans team, man, they were talking about the Suns are
Yeah,
top
they're-
5 in offense, defense, right?
Yeah,
Pelicans are the other team too in out
yeah,
west.
and they're good.
They're going to be fucking great. I was just trying to look up to see if Zion, because he was hurt a little bit. I don't know if he actually was back playing, but I'm like, dude, that team, I don't want to face that team in the playoffs. They're fucking, oh yeah, he's back. He's
Oh
back.
yeah, he's back, big time for Zion there.
The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout.
I was hanging out in Houston tonight, laddie. Just hanging out down there with the Houston Rockets people.
Who do you look like? Stephen King?
Yeah, I was going for some King vibes. I'm writing a book tonight, guys. It's going to take place in Castle Rock, place in Maine, because every one of my
It's always in
stories-
Maine.
It's always in Maine. Couple things. Let's see. The beginning of the game. So you got to remember, the Suns started this game 12-2. Not record, but that was the score. It was 12-2 right off the bat. God, I thought I was going to have an easy night. They said what? They said this is basketball terrorism. That's what somebody said.
Whoa.
And then somebody said, I was like, wow, that's aggressive. Had this been 2003, like the FBI would be like knocking at your house. That was nobody, Brooklyn. That was just me. Okay. Hi, just me. My dog's like, fucking who the fuck's knocking at 10 o'clock at night? Another member of the Rocket subreddit said, why Phoenix get special court for their special jersey and why we didn't get any.
Oh, we've been there. Hey, we barely got a special court. That one's actually kind of ripped off. So
Yeah,
it's a lot of other
last year's
teams have it
Valley
better,
court. They
trust us.
reused it.
yeah, trust us. Other teams have it better. They have some teams have 3 different courts. Crazy.
Yeah, and we should have one for our 90s, but we don't.
Yep.
Somebody said Sengun is our future. Build a team around him. What do you think about that? What do you think about Sengun? I will rip off his statistical line just for those of you who like to hear statistical lines. He had 13 points. He had 2 assists. He had 4 rebounds. He had 1 block, 2 steals, 24 minutes played. Nothing spectacular, but he had some very solid plays, I feel.
Yeah, he's interesting. He's actually the guy I think of as the asshole. He looks like an asshole. Because looking up the Rockets pictures and stuff, all his pictures, he just looks like a fucking prick in them. But that's the way he has to be, I think, in the NBA, right? You have to be that kind of guy, to be down there and dirty. He seems fun to have on your team. I don't know though, man. I feel like he's one of the guys where I don't know what I'm looking at yet with this Rockets team. But the other guys, I can kind of figure out. He's the one that I'm like, I don't really know. But there's that dude, really quick, Eason.
Yeah.
Eason's fucking great. I like that dude a lot.
Yeah.
I like him a lot, man.
Well, I also like that Fernando guy they got too, man. He was 7 of 8 from the field, had 7
Jeez.
rebounds and 14 points. Yeah, I mean, he was just a fucking machine on the interior. No one could stop him because they took advantage of the fact that we didn't have size behind DA. So they just just feed the ball to him, just dunk, dunk,
Yes.
dunk, 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 dunk. I was
Yeah.
like, Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior.
Have fun.
Somebody else said, at some point, Devin Booker's gonna miss, right? And then somebody else responded, he's dropped 44 and 31 and 3/4 the last 2 games. He's just hot. And then somebody said, Booker playing the whole quarter against the worst team in the league is so cringe. That's my fucking ass off, dude. It's stat padding for MVP votes. And then you could tell, this is the funny thing about tonight, is you can tell there were some Suns trolls in there. And I kind of want to take credit from that from a jam session standpoint. Because
Let
somebody
us know.
said, nah, he does this every game. He plays the first quarter and sits till midway through the second. Plus, you can't go easy on young, talented teams. And there were people in there calling, like the Rockets, like after a foul would start bitching their fans were. And then like somebody would respond like, dude, you have 20 more free throws than the Suns. So kudos to anybody who's listened to this podcast and who actually went into the Rockets subreddit and was defending the Suns. I loved seeing that shit. And people were getting a little pissed off. Like, yeah, there's some Suns trolls in here.
Yeah.
I'm like, good. Accountability for your shitty takes.
Yeah,
Rock-
seriously. And you look like my neighbor's mom back in the day.
Really?
Yeah. Looks
Name?
good. The Schmalls.
Schmalls. Yeah,
Shout out to the
Schmalls,
Schmalls out there.
Shout out to
but-
the Schmalls.
Dude, okay, so the thing is, what are we doing here in the NBA? If you can't just play against these shitty teams, like, it's so stupid. I hate that shit because it's like you're in the NBA, man.
Yeah, they're like, well,
And
how
everyone
dare
gets so
Devin
pissed.
Booker play
Don't
against the Rockets?
play hard. If everyone played hard like Booker, they would get his achievements as quick as he has too in his career. So, just I hate that shit, man.
Well, you're going to hate this one even more. Somebody says, I generally hate Damian Lee.
Really?
Genuinely hates. Well, he's a Western Conference foe. They've been going against him, as a member of the Rockets and now a member of the Suns, but they genuinely hate them. It's not that they hate him. They genuinely hated him over in Houston. I don't know what that was about. And here's a really good one. You ready for this? And this will predicate a little bit of a Shamet conversation because I think we need to have a Shamet conversation after his performance tonight. But it says Shamet looks like Trae Young and Klay Thompson mixed sperms.
He looks like who? Klay Thompson and who? Sorry.
Trae Young mixed sperms.
Young. Oh, yeah, that's pretty good, man.
Analysis.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
What do you think of Landry tonight? He played 19 minutes. He was 1 of 5 from the field, 1 of 4 from beyond the arc. Had an assist, a steal, a rebounding, 4 personal fouls. 5.
Oh, you know what? Sometimes I can't stand this shit. I get sick of it. I get sick of the way he's just so passive, and he's like the young boy at like the deli with all the older dudes that hang out. Maybe they're in the mafia, who knows? But he's like the younger kid that just runs around and does a bunch of shit, but he never opens his mouth. He's just like drops this off and he runs away. It's like, who the fuck was that? I don't know. He's gonna kill somebody when he's 13 or something like that. You know what I mean? That's what he reminds me of, dude. Because it's just like fucking. I don't know what he's doing out there sometimes. And I've been a big fan of his. I have, but like you got to be aggressive, especially in these games, dude. Just do your thing out there.
This is
Stop
when you
looking for other
can
people
be
to do
aggressive,
shit.
man.
Yeah.
This is when you can be aggressive. I love what Kiko G says. He goes, Shamet was smoking with Dario this game. Like he had a couple puffs
Yeah,
of
that's
the
pretty
Magic
bad.
Dragon for the game because he just looked discombobulated at times. And again, I think you and I are both proponents of Landry Shamet, and we want to see him get some playing time to get back in the
Yeah.
groove because I feel like he's has some promising days and games ahead of him. He had a couple really good defensive possessions early on, but after that, like I literally wrote in my notes like, "Hey, looking okay on D," and then like as I wrote D, he just like sucked the rest of the game. And that's just the Landry Shamet story.
Step up, man.
Written by Stephen King.
Please.
And then the last thing, somebody said, "Fuck Wide 8 and decide to start playing now because you guys stopped fucking hacking him and shit." So he had the ability to play. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Your favorite segment on the Suns Jam Session podcast, the subreddit Stakeout. See,
The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout.
last thing. What?
Nothing.
What you say to me?
Nothing. Go ahead, dude. I was gonna say we only have 5 minutes left. That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know where it went. Whenever you drink wine and you do this podcast, it goes by really quick. Just note
It
to
tastes
self.
so good, dude.
Oh, I love drinking wine and talking about the Phoenix Suns. One thing we got to talk about before we hand out the Jam Star, though, and you're going to love this one, Matthew.
The point guard.
It would be Unsuns Jam Session like if we didn't comment on what Kanye West tweeted out.
Yeah.
He said, "Let's break one last window before we get out of here. I caught this guy with Kim. Good night." And it's a picture of Chris Paul. So he caught Chris Paul with Kim Kardashian. That's what Kanye, I don't know what fucking planet I'm on anymore, West tweeted out last night. What do you think about that, Matthew? You're more the Kardashian pop culture person here. What is your take on that, or do you even give a shit?
No, I mean, I don't. That's the thing is I don't, because I feel like, why do people not believe it? I mean, it's the fact that, okay, he's married, right? Chris Paul, he's married. I
Yeah,
think
he's got
still married.
kids. Yeah,
Okay, but they live in LA, right? They live
Yeah.
in California.
correct.
So the way that these basketball players live is like nothing you will ever experience. To think that
Oh, yeah.
LeBron James is, and I'm not saying anything, and I'm not saying that they are this way. I'm just saying this is what I think, and it probably is true. LeBron James is married from the very beginning, high school sweetheart. You're not saying that he's never done anything with anybody else.
Oh, I know. He's just never been caught.
But no, but even Steph Curry comes out and says he has an open relationship. Steph Curry is probably like a guy that's like, okay, I'm just gonna go out there and say it. I'm sick of hiding all this shit. Like, everyone just needs to know, like, that's my wife, but then I get to mess around. She does too.
Mhm.
They think they just do this, so it shouldn't be a big deal. It's Kim Kardashian. She does a lot for the justice reform. I'm sure he's in on that with her or something. Who knows? But like, it's not a big deal though, right? I don't think it's like
It's just
he's gonna get a
interesting.
divorce over it.
No. It's just Kanye is like one of those people who, like, have you ever gotten in an argument with anybody and you start calling them on their shit and then they just start bringing up the most random shit ever? Like, I feel like Kanye, who was on some podcast, I saw it very briefly, but he's on some podcast or some show the other day, and he has like a full on, like, yeah, have you ever seen Pulp Fiction?
Oh yeah,
You know the
dude.
like
That's my favorite movie.
Zed's dead baby, like the guy in the
Yeah,
leather suit.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
he's
yeah.
like dressed in like this all black leather suit, and he's talking through it like in a microphone. Like the guy's off his fucking rocker. So he's just pulling shit out of his ass left and right, and there's probably some validity to it. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
It's crazy, dude. I honestly, I think about it a lot. Like, the lives that those people live are crazy. We'll
It's-
never
yeah.
understand whatever Kanye is saying. Whatever he's saying, we take it as different from what he's really trying to say most of the time. But then also, it still doesn't make sense because it just means something different in that universe. They have a way different thing. What he did on Alex Jones' podcast was not acceptable, obviously.
Yeah.
And he's banned from Twitter right now. He's suspended because of what he posted. So it's crazy, dude. I just want to know, like, where did this all fucking come from? Like, what is happening?
Well,
He's always been nuts, but like, what the fuck is happening, man? Sorry, that's all I just want.
No, it's just it compounds itself, right? It's almost like a mental illness. It's like, and again, you're right. They live such different lives. Like, I'm pissed off because when I get up in the morning tomorrow, I have to go put gas in my truck. Like, that's my life.
I hate that.
Oh, I do too.
hate-
And like when you're driving home,
hate
you're like,
that.
dude, I could just pull off right now. I could just get gas right now and I don't have to deal with it tomorrow morning. But you're like,
Yeah.
I just want to get home from work. And then you do it and
Yeah.
you get home and you're like, I should have just fucking done it. Like, that's the life I live, you know? Who knows
Yeah.
what these guys live? So let's
And-
hand out some hardware.
Jam Star of the Game.
All right, Jamsters, a reminder, if you're watching along live, hit that thumbs up button. If you're watching later, hit that thumbs up button. If you're listening to the podcast, just enjoy it. We're not asking you to do anything else except keep those AirPods in or the Beats by Dre or whatever you got in. Maybe you got the old school things and sometimes they got a wire and they catch on something and
Yeah,
they fall over,
I
whatever.
hate when that happens.
Oh,
Bro.
all the time. But just enjoy the podcast. If you're watching along live, let us know who is your jam star of the game. Matthew, I'll go first because I think you went first last time, or I don't know. But it's Devin Booker, 41 points. He was unstoppable again tonight. Unfortunately, the Suns couldn't pull out a victory, but it didn't stop Devin Booker from dropping another 40 bottle of wine on us. That's Devin Booker tonight.
Yeah,
Let's-
yeah.
Let's roll.
And before, when I said, like, hey, Monty told him, like, hey, you're going to take over the game, of course, or take over the team, of course, because no one's really there to help as much. But, I mean, that makes sense, right, for him to do that. But I just think the way that he's been playing lately, last year, going into this year, he's sharing the ball a lot. So I think it's a different kind of book. I like this kind of book. I also, yeah, getting gas in the morning. Like, there's one guy that is, I think he's out of the insane asylum. You see that in their face, and he's walking around. And I hate getting gas because I feel like every time I get gas, I see that guy walking around.
Where do you get
Whichever one I
gas
go
at?
to, I just change it up every time, and I see that same
See,
guy.
that's
Dude.
why you go to Costco.
Creepy.
Literally, what it was it the other day? Cave Creek and Bell. Some guy just pumping his gas, and that crazy guy was there, shot him like 3 times, killed him, just pumping his gas.
Whoa.
You know?
Really?
And then the guy, I guess, was like dancing around and all happy when the fucking police showed up because he was a fucking crackhead. That's what happens on Cave Creek. There's crackheads. But like, that's why it's like, go to Costco, man. It's a different machine at Costco. There's a long line, a lot of witnesses. You don't have a lot of bums hanging around there. There's no convenience store at a Costco, right? Circle K has a convenience store, and people hang outside that convenience store, and that's where the people start itching themselves and get all cracky. So, dude, go to Costco, man. Don't
I'll go
fuck
there,
with
man.
Circle K, Arco, Valero.
It's
Unical,
crazy. There's
Mobile,
always
none of
people
that
just
stuff.
standing there, like
There
looking.
are gas
You
stations
go
are
in there,
shady.
people are in line the opposite way. They're looking at the door. I'm like, what are you? What
Go
are
to
you
Costco,
standing
man.
there? What are you gonna do to me? It's fine. Touch me or whatever. I don't care.
Just get it over with. No, but like a guy, like I was thinking about that. I'm like, this dude just showed up. He just same thing as me. He's like, fuck, man, I got to go get gas. God damn. And he put it off as long as he could. And he finally went
Yeah.
and he got gas and he got fucking killed for it. That's bullshit. Urgh. So on that note, that's it for the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We do have some pretty exciting news coming right around the corner as it relates to the Suns Jam Session podcast. For those of you who may have noticed or you may not have noticed, we have a new logo. Not really new, but we fine-tuned it a little bit. We changed the font on it a little bit. Looks a little bit more sleek. I don't know if anyone notices or even cares, but we do have some very interesting news coming right around the corner as it pertains to the Suns Jam Session podcast. Do me a favor if you can, tomorrow morning, tune into the Suns Solar Panel podcast with David King and Brandon Zona Hoops. 8 a.m. on the Sun Solar Panel. I'm going to be a guest host on that one as well. So stop by and I'll talk about crackheads and getting shot for gas there too. I guess I'm going to really bring it down right off the bat first thing in the morning. So again, thank you everybody for your support. You can follow me at Darth Voida. You can watch all of my reviews after the Suns lose games on brightsideofthesun.com. You can follow the show at Suns Jam on Instagram, Twitter, and the talk that is Tick. You can follow Matthew
at Matthew Lissy,
and you can follow him to the gas station apparently. So do that as well.
I'm afraid. Go home and love your gas.